I was really surprised to find out that not one of the most expensive cars sold was made in the 21st century. Actually, come to think of it, it makes perfect sense. Don't get me wrong, there are some amazing cars out there, but cars that you can just look at for hours, never getting bored, just don't exist anymore. Manufacturers used to design cars with love and passion, but today it's all about the money, quantity over quality. Ironically, these cars from the 1900s are much more expensive. Starting off this list at number 12 is the Ferrari 250 LM. From the name, you could have guessed that it was built to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and in 1965, it did just that. The 250 LM was revealed at the 1963 Paris Motor Show, and production ended in 1966. Only 32 were produced, making the 250 LM extremely rare. So rare that there is only one left. Makes you wonder what happened to the other 31. The 250 LM was sold for $17,600,000 at an auction in 2015. At number 11, the Ferrari 250 GT LWP California Spider Competition. Along with an incredibly long name, the 250 GT is just one example of Ferrari's vintage masterpieces. This street-legal Ferrari is extremely expensive because of its historical significance for Ferrari. The 250 GT raced at the 12 Hours of Sebring and finished 5th, which is pretty outstanding. Production started in '59 with only 9 units ever made. An exquisite design, a masterpiece of engineering, and only 9 produced puts a price tag of $18,150,000. Number 10, the Ferrari 375 Plus Spider Competition. 10th is new for this particular Ferrari, as it was always first in its glory days. The 375 Plus won the 1954 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Agadir GP, and the Silverstone International. The 375 Plus was a racing car, so only 8 units were produced in 1954. A 375 Plus Spider cost $18,400,000. At number 9, the Alfa Romeo 8C 2900B Lunga Spider. I wonder why cars in the 1900s had such long names. If you have an answer, please tell me in the comments. I would really like to know. The 8C wasn't a race car. It wasn't relatively rare compared to the other cars on this list. It was just an Alfa built for the road. A beautiful design and complex engineering from Alfa Romeo's racing cars. The 8C is truly worth the price it costs. Production started in 1939 and only 32 units were ever made. The price for one of these cars is $19,800,000. 8th is the Jaguar D-Type. A simple name and a simple car that won the 24 Hours of Le Mans 3 times, which is a huge success. The D-Type is one of the most iconic cars in the motorsport industry. So iconic, in fact, that Jaguar just started production, again, 62 years after the last one was built. Production of the D-Type ended in 1956 because of a fire that burnt down Jaguar's Browns Lane factory. A D-Type from '56 was sold for $21,780,000. Number 7, the Ferrari 275 GTB-C Speciale. The road version, the 275 GTB, is magnificent, but the Speciale was, well, special. It was built to compete in racing. The 275 GTB-C Speciale competed in the North American racing team, the Maranello Concessionaires, Scuderia Felipinite, and Frank the Champs. 275 GTB-C Speciale. The 275 GTB-C Speciale competed in the North American racing team, the Maranello Concessionaires, Scuderia Felipinite and Yucaria Frank Champs. 275 GTB-C Speciale. The 275 GTB-C Speciale competed in the North American racing team, the Maranello Concessionaires, Scuderia Felipinite and Yucaria Frank Champs. and Ucaria Frank the champs in 66. And Ucaria Frank the champs. In 66, 3 GTPs were entered in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. This car is an example of Ferrari's amazing engineering, and it was sold for $26,400,000 at an auction in 2014. Taking the 6th spot is the Ferrari 275 GTB4 S0 Spider. The North American racing team campaigned Ferrari in the US to raise awareness of the company. The 275 was one of these cars, not ordered. They also ordered road cars from Ferrari too. Steve McQueen, who was an American actor, also owned one. He bought it when it was featured in a movie he was acting in, The Thomas Crown Affair. The 275 GTB was in production from 1950 to 1960, and only 10 units were produced. Today, it cost $27,500,000. Number 5. The Ferrari 290 MM. The MM was one of many Ferraris made for motorsports. This particular one was made specifically for the 1956 Mille Miglia and was driven by legendary race car driver Jason Manuel Fangio. Most of the cars driven by Manuel are really expensive. The 290 MM was in production from 1950 and only 4 were ever produced. Fourth is the Mercedes-Benz W196. It was a Grand Prix car that won both the German and Swiss GPs in 1954. It was driven by John Manuel Fangio and Sterling Moss, both racing car legends. This Benz was so good at racing, it won 9 out of 12 races it was entered in. The W196 was sold for $29,600,000 in 2013, which at the time was the most expensive car ever sold. Honestly, if I ever find myself with $29,600,000 to spend on a car, I would get this one. Number 3. Ferrari 335 Sports Scaglietti. Another successful racing car from Ferrari. The 335 competed in the 12 Hours of Sebring, driven by racing car legends Peter Collins and Maurice Strignant in 1957. The 335 also competed and won in the Mille Miglia with Wolfgang von Trips at the wheel. Honestly, one of the best names I've ever heard. It also holds the record for the most expensive racing car sold at an auction in 2016. The bid was $35,700,000. Taking second place is the Ferrari 250 GTO. The 250 GTO was made for homologation regulation into the FIA's Group 3 Grand Touring category. It's also one of the finest cars of its era, and you honestly can't deny its appeal. Production run started from 1962 to 1964, with only 36 units made. Production run started from 1962 to 1964, with only 36 units made. No other car in the world had such a reputation and mystique. Its price tag is $38,115,000. Number 1. Ferrari 250 GTO. It's not surprising that the only car to beat the GTO in exclusivity and awesomeness is a 250 GTO. However, this one has a rich racing history. It won the 1964 Tour de France and finished fourth in the 1963 24 Hours of Le Mans. This car, despite its racing, has never been crashed. Because of this exact reason, it was sold for $70 million. The new king is here. It's honestly no surprise that out of the 12 cars, 9 are Ferraris. They have always been credited to making the most reliable cars. Enzo Ferrari also put his heart and his soul into each and every single car of his, and now they are the most expensive and treasured cars in the world. If you enjoyed this video, please like and consider subscribing.